Alright guys, so let's get into this part 2 of this series. Hopefully we can get it all done in this one vid. Maybe we'll go for a second one, I don't know yet. But here's our Mocotaugan. And I've basically just cut off that little point, so we're going to have about this much to stick inside. Should be enough. And I've also roughed out a little bit of my piece of beech burl. And I roasted it in the oven for a little bit just to get rid of some of the moisture that may be left in there. I did get some checks and some cracks in there, but I think I'm going to fill those up with epoxy after anyway. We'll see how it goes. If the good thing about it though is if the handle gets messed up, I can always remove the Mocotaugan, and I've got other pieces of cherry and things that I could use as well for the handle, so that's no big deal. But we're going to try this guy first. So I want to put a couple of notches just in here with a file, and hopefully we can get the when we glue this in, it'll help hold it in better. It may or may not. There is, if you look at the file itself, there is a little bit of texturing still left on there, so that should hold on good enough, give it enough grip. First things first though, I want to drill a hole in here, or one or two holes, and I'm going to finish that off with my Leatherman saw so we can get this to sit inside there just enough. Should be fine, should be deep enough. Actually right down to about there. Should be deep enough. We'll get it in there comfortable, and it feels like it's going to feel pretty nice on the hand. So we'll see how that goes once we get that seated in there. But let's see if we can get that drilled in, and then we'll move on with the saw, and then just start chipping away at this handle to make it comfortable. Stick around. Alright, now you'll see right here, I've got a little line, a little square drawn out. And if I look over here on this side, hopefully you can see that. I've got it kind of drawn out a little bit there as well. Alright, so when you drill your holes, your pilot holes in there to get in there with your saw or whatever it is, whatever tool you use to dig out that hole, try your best not to break a drill bit in there. It happened to me today. It was very unfortunate. It took a long time for me to get it out, and I'm worried now that maybe the interior of my handle might be a little bit screwed up, but we'll see. But anyway, I am very close to getting to where I want to my depth. I got to go a little bit deeper. I want it, if you can see it right up here, see where the bend is? I want to get it right down to that bend. So right up to here, I want to bury that in there all the way, and then we'll start shaping out the handle and hardening up the blade. So I'll come back again when we're at that point, and I'll bring you back and I'll show you where we're going to go from there. So alright guys, this is how I want it to sit in there, just slightly on an angle. So when I file out this part here on my thumb, make this go down to a slant, round out my corners, this should be very comfortable in pulling towards me. So I know it's starting to look like, almost like it's going to look like something very soon. So we're getting there. We'll see how this goes. It's kind of crooked, kind of wacky in a whole bunch of different ways, but you know what? I think that's what's going to make it comfortable. So give you another look at that real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to put a couple of notches in here, so when I epoxy it in, it'll fill in all those holes and keep it from ever slipping out and going out and back, just to give it some extra grip. That's the theory behind it anyway. Alright guys, so right here, I filed in a couple of little notches inside. I'm hoping that'll keep the file, once it's epoxied in, from moving forward or backwards. We'll see, but that's the theory anyway, and I'm sure it's going to do an alright job. Doesn't have to be huge, just enough for epoxy to fill in those holes. So really, there's no set way to do this part of the process. Really what it comes down to is getting something that's going to be comfortable for your hand, in a shape that you're going to need to operate this knife the way it's been designed to operate. So I got my handle all carved, roughed out pretty much, and I filled up some cracks with some epoxy. I'll give you a look at that. And now what we're going to do is I've got my forge heating up. It's getting nice and hot, and we're going to see if we can harden up that blade. So I'm going to bring it up to nice really cherry hot, and I've got a little canister here filled with vegetable oil. We're just going to give it a quick dunk in there. I've done this a few times, so I kind of know the color I'm looking for, but if you're ever not sure, you can always test it with a magnet to make sure that you got it up to the proper temperature. I've never tried hardening anything in this guy here before, so this is going to be a first. We'll see if I can get it hot enough and even enough to be able to dunk it, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so there we go. We've got her sitting in the oil, and it's actually okay to touch now. And the thing is, it seems to have stayed pretty straight, which I'm pretty happy with. And every other time I've tried this, it's always wound up being a mess after that, all twisted and screwed up, but this actually turned out to be okay. So I'm just going to wipe the oil off of this, and then we'll toss this into an oven at 400 degrees, and we should be good to temper it up. Add some springiness back to it. When you're ready to temper your blade, just go ahead, stick it in a toaster oven or a regular oven, or even a barbecue if you can maintain the heat. On this knife here, I'll be doing 400 degrees for 1 hour. Really don't know if that's going to be enough or not, but that's what I've done with my other knives, and it seems to work out just fine. So there you go, guys. Open up that toaster oven, set your heat to bake, turn that all the way to 1 hour, and let it go. I've already done mine at home. I forgot to shoot the footage, unfortunately, but there you go, guys. That's how you do it. Sorry, guys. I found it a little bit difficult in the tempering process to find out any decent information. I was doing a lot of searching the web and all that stuff, trying to nail down exactly what kind of steel a Nicholson file would be made from. Quite often, people were saying it's W1, and some people were saying it's 1095. It's hard to get the information sometimes, and I sent an email off to Nicholson, and never got anything back. And this was a long time ago. That said, what I ended up choosing to do was I put it into my oven at home at 400 degrees for 1 hour. I let it cool down, and then I did it a second time. So we got all the parts of our Mocotaugan here put all together. Just got to epoxy that in. But there's one thing I wanted to do. I want to put a little leather cap there, just at the end. I think it'll make it look a little nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and make one. We'll go ahead and cut one of these pieces out here, and maybe I'll do one, maybe I'll do two, just to give me a little of extra thickness here. It might look a little cool with some leather on there. We'll see how it goes, but we'll go ahead and get that done. So we'll go ahead and glue that on, and we still got to figure out that little hole in there to make sure that we're looking good. All right, so we're going to epoxy this guy up now. We'll squeeze out our epoxy. We'll use a fair amount of it this time. Where did that little cap go? There it is. There we go. Get our little spoon. So to give that a good 20 second stir. Make sure it's all mixed up and uniform. So we'll slide that back on again. Get this stirred up nice. Then basically just start stuffing it in the hole. We are going to put some on the knife blade itself, or on the tang, sorry. Get that covered up in the tang. good and covered. Now we'll slide that in. We'll fill in any cracks to make sure if there's anything left over that it will fill in nicely. Whoops, it's all dripping out the side here. We'll drop our leather piece down. Make everything nice and stuck, good and hard. I want to make sure that it stays in there. There we go. And when we sand all this down, that should make a nice coating. So we're going to leave this be, let it dry. I'm going to see if I can fashion something to keep it nice and tight inside there. And then that's about it. We'll just have to wait till it dries and we'll check it out in another day. Here we go. This is our Mocotaugan. It's got the little leather bit out in the front there. I actually put some epoxy on there to make it hard. It's kind of shiny. But we'll see if we can dull that up when we sand it down. And there's our burl handle. We got to do some work on that still. I still have some stuff I want to do. You can see right here where the thumb goes. I want to taper that in just a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of a, make it a little more comfortable. And let's back out here a little bit. There we go. So I want to taper that in a little bit and taper this end in a little bit, and then we should be pretty much good to go. It's very comfortable. Sorry guys, for the most part, we're looking pretty good. If you look at that, I got some sanding to do on the blade, and the handle I'm working on just a little bit here. I'm trying to scoop out a little place that I can stick my thumb in. You see that? And it's really comfortable in there actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and just chip away at this, and then we'll just get ready to start sharpening this bad boy up. Alright, so I've been debating on how I was going to sharpen this for the last little while. Trying to go over it, see which way would be the best way, the easiest way, and whatnot. I do have a DC4 I could probably use for the straight edge part. But once I get around that little curve, it was going to be quite difficult. And so I decided to go with the same way I sharpen my spoon knives. It's with a diamond rod. So I could easily just do the whole length of the blade, or just do the straight part and then do the curve after. It's easy enough. But this diamond rod that I have is a little bit on the coarse side. So once that's done, I'll be switching to a 600 grit sandpaper, and then to a 1200, and then I'll try to strop it up after that best I can, and then we should be in business. All right, so I've already done a couple rounds with the diamond rod, and once I've gotten it pretty sharp, I put a quick wrap of 600 grit wet dry sandpaper, and now I'm switching to a 1200 grit. So let me double check that. Yeah. So now I'm going to switch to a 1200 grit. Hopefully you can see that. And we'll give it a few more passes, and I'll come back shortly and give you a look at how sharp we got it here. That's respectable. I have a little bit of pallet wood there. That's not so bad at all. To show you guys, this is a piece of cherry here that I'm working on, and I'm just quite easily carving a bowl for a spoon or whatever it is I wanted to carve, or a bowl or anything like that. You see that works out pretty nice. See? Nice little divot. So I think the first thing I would definitely do again is this handle shape. It's very quite comfortable. I carved a little divot in there for my thumb. It really locks everything into place and gets very comfortable. The knife itself took a decent edge. It's pretty sharp. I'm not sure if it's still, been messing with it. Not sure if it's still hair popping sharp like it was before, but anyway, it's still sharp and it still carves quite nice. The handle I used, the material I used, it was a piece of beech burl. I had one issue with it. I had a big chunk of it pop out, so I'm gonna see if I can fill it up with something, some plastic wood or whatever it is, and just call it that. Kind of unfortunate that happened because it looked like it was gonna be a nice piece. I gotta clear off. I got some sticky crap on there, but all things considered, things I've learned, I think I definitely make the knife next time about this long. So as it comes up, it would sweep up from here, and that would be that. A nice shorter one, 2.5, 3 inches of flat and then a curve. I think that would be good. I like the bend, but I wish the bend would have been higher up here instead of all the way back there. It would have given me more power in my stroke, having it close there. But everything is good. I mean, I learned some things, came up with a usable tool, which will be awesome, and it actually makes me want to build another one. Alright guys, just to show you what I use to, actually use this on my spoons and everything. I use mineral oil, the kind you would use if you were constipated or something like that. But this stuff works great. It's food grade mineral oil, and it's very cheap. So. Alright guys, so we're all done, and lo and behold, once again, it's raining. But while we're out here, while we're getting wet, I just want to talk to you about this Mocotaugan here. Very proud of what I've accomplished here. It is not it's not as you know, it's not a professional. I'm not a professional at this, but I was able to make it. I made it my own, and I really like how the handle looks. I think the handle looks pretty cool. It's extremely comfortable in my hand. Fits me great because it was made for me. So that's one of the cool things about it. Got the thumb divot in there. I've got the nice bend, so it kind of cradles in your hand, right like that. I can get a good grip on it and really pull on it. It seems to carve real easy and real nice. It's got a nice scoop on there, so I'm able to dig my bowls as I showed before. I put a little leather cap on there so it would look just a little bit better than it would just being plain. So I think that turned out okay. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with this, and I hope this inspires one of you guys to get out and give this a try. It doesn't have to be a Mocotaugan. It could be a knife. It could be you know, a thumbnail gouge, or some kind of scoop, or anything. Just anything you can use to take with you out on the trails and give it a try. If I can do it, you can do it. And I didn't have that many fancy tools. I could have done a lot of the sanding work. I could have done that with a file. I have the wood files. I just didn't feel like putting all that elbow grease into it. But the first knife I ever made, I made completely with only a file. That's all I use, a file and a hacksaw. From beginning to end, I did the whole thing like that, and I'll never do that again. But the point is that if you have the patience and the time, you can make really cool tools that you can use at home, anytime, any place, anywhere. And I hope this video inspires one of you guys to do that. So anyway, there it is, the Mocotaugan. Take care, guys. Get out and explore.